great to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And in this episode, did you hear this news of the weird about a T-Mobile customer who received a six-figure bill for an international trip? I got key advice for you when you're traveling overseas with your phone. And later, there's a new warning out about a scam trying to collect money from you for bills you don't owe to various government agencies. I'm going to give you one example of that later in this podcast. So the T-Mobile thing, if you didn't hear, it's a headline grabber. Customers billed $143,442.74 for using their T-Mobile phone while they were on a relatively short vacation in Switzerland. So how could that be? Because this is crazy. So first of all, let's get real specific on T-Mobile. T-Mobile has a lot of plans that include 5 gigs of data when you leave the United States. Then after that, all bets are off. And then also has plans that don't give you any free data internationally and bill you at a rate that's like where data charges were, 15 years ago. So if you go overseas with a cell phone, you got to know before you go how to do your calling and whatever data you're going to use without getting yourself into financial trouble. So again, T-Mobile has the 5 gigs of data, which is a decent amount, and for most people would cover a trip of 10 to 14 days outside the United States, and is available in most countries in the world. At T-Mobile's website, you can see on the plan you're on, do you get the 5 gigs for the 2 weeks? You can then buy extra from them. If you go past it, it gets really expensive for the extra. And AT&T and Verizon have a big daily charge for using your phone outside the United States. It's like $10 a day. It's very, very costly for what they give you. The best answer is what I talked about months ago in answer to a question from someone, is that if your phone is unlocked or you take another phone that is unlocked, buy a local data card, a SIM card. And if you are on an iPhone, really easy. Most iPhones now can take an eSIM. Many Androids can take an eSIM. So you can buy these very easily when you arrive where you're going, even if you have to insert a physical SIM. It's incredibly cheap data in most countries in the world. You don't use it for traditional calling. What you do instead is you already have set up WhatsApp, Viber, FaceTime, whatever, so that you're able to communicate with people by voice for free. And I've noticed as I travel the world how often hotels, restaurants, and businesses now communicate with customers overwhelmingly over WhatsApp. So even if you are an iPhone user and you're outside the United States, download and set up a WhatsApp account, and you will be able to communicate by text and voice for free over the data backbone of the data you buy. And I'm talking about, depending on the country, you're having to spend for your trip $10 to $20 total in many countries to have plenty of data to cover a trip up to a month. Very, very affordable. In fact, cheaper than what our plans typically are right here in the good old USA. So know before you go that if you travel routinely around the world, you want to switch to Google Fi for your iPhone service or your Android service. Google Fi is a small cell phone operator owned by a tiny company called Alphabet. the parent company of Google, tiny little company. But they treat your service the same outside the United States as it is inside the United States for data. So you just use it as you would before. And we've got a thorough review of how Google Fi works at Clark.com. But there's something about Google Fi. If you are a data hog regularly, Google Fi may not be your choice because there's a data cap on the plan that caps you at, I think, 50 gigs a month or 40 gigs a month. You'd have to use a ton before you go past that data cap. I want to talk about the other end of the price spectrum for you. If international travel is not your thing, whatever, you just want inexpensive service. I've tested now for, I think it's 5 months, Hello Mobile, and it's a $5 a month base plan for cell phone service. It gets you 1/2 gig of data. It works. I've had not a single moment of any hiccup or problem with it, and it's worked very, very well. And I promised when I mentioned Hello Mobile several months ago that I would let you know after I had more experience with it, and it's been good. It's really only, in my mind, for a very light volume data user because the $5 plan is so cheap. There's a 5 and a 10, and then it goes up from there.
You know, it's so funny. I have your number that you often use to test these phones. It's a different phone number, and I have it listed as Clark's burner phone. So I know
so now I'm a crook or a con artist or something with my own burner phone.
Makes me giggle. All right. Well, poor Claire in Ohio was not giggling because listen to this story.
I'm ready.
I was invited to a friend's wedding in Punta Cana and was told the trip was being booked through a wedding/travel planner. I sent 1 payment to the groom and 2 payments to the wedding planner, 1 through Apple Pay and 2 through Cash App. When I arrived at the resort, there was no room for me to check into.
Oh, my goodness.
The bride and groom claimed that the wedding planner, quote, stole the money, but I spoke with someone at the hotel that said there was a remaining balance for everyone's stay that the bride and groom divided by the amount of people and requested more money for. I originally paid for a room of my own, and I ended up getting paired with a stranger. I ended up having to pay to change my flight and fly home because I did not have a room. I'm hoping to possibly sue for my money back. I'm in need of advice on what steps to take.
Oh, man, this is a mess, Claire. I don't know your relationship with the bride and groom. It's probably not so good right now.
Yeah.
Because the hotel is insinuating that the bride and groom ran off with the money that you and others sent the portion to the groom, that they ran off with that money of yours. It's hard to know because you've got to, before you sue, who are you going to sue? Are you going to sue the wedding planner who may not have any assets? Are you going to sue your friend or family member, however you're connected to the bride and groom? This is really, really tough. What I would do is try to get together with other friends or people you met while you were in the Dominican.
Yeah, like the stranger roommate.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And find out what happened to them, what they're doing about it. There's strength in numbers here because people may be able together to piece this together. But I will tell you, I hate to be so negative Nelly here in what was such already a terrible experience for you. All this money of yours just stolen, your experience ruined. I mean, this is terrible.
It is.
When you sue somebody who is providing a service business, so let's say the real problem is the wedding planner was a thief, you can sue in small claims court. You'll win a judgment, but your ability to collect that judgment is really, really hard. If you're dealing with somebody who stole to begin with, that's going to be a tough road. You may even be able to pursue with other people. There may be criminal charges that can be lodged against the wedding planner if that is who stole the money, because that is a clear theft. And depending on the state, there are different statutes they use. That still won't get your money back. but it would result potentially in punishment of that individual. And Claire, this is just ugly without any clear sky with it. The one advice that I've given repeatedly with destination weddings is book your travel on your own. You're in control then. When you go third party on it, that's where we hear the problems, whether the destination wedding is in the U.S. or outside the U.S. Better you book your own air, book your own accommodations.
With a credit card.
With a credit card, not through any third party.
Oh, sorry, Claire. All right, this is from Michael in Florida. I own a 2-bedroom condo. It's 1,200 square feet, and I pay an HOA fee of $396, and that's a year, I asked.
A year?
Oh, no, a month. Sorry.
It's got to be
is
a month.
It's
a
monthly.
Condo.
It is not a gated community, and there is no gym. The landscaping is average, and there is a pool. It is owned by a family, and the, quote, association manager, unquote, is a family member and makes $70K per year for what looks to be minimum work.
Wait. So it's self-dealing within
The family.
the management company that I got it. Okay.
The fences for the courtyard are in need of repair, and an additional $935 is being demanded pending board approval. I feel funds are at the least being mismanaged, and there's even the possibility of embezzlement given the rampant nepotism. I will, of course, attend the upcoming board meeting, but feel like it's a rubber stamp having been to previous proceedings. Can I demand a full audit? Can the monetary value of an association manager be called into question?
So Florida actually has newer statutes on how condominium owners can assert their rights with an association. Historically, associations and the board of an association, they run like there are no separations of power. They are all branches of government, all in one entity without really much oversight. The greatest oversight, though, is not you going to the board meeting. It's for you going ahead and whatever the procedure is, running for the board itself. You know, when a condominium feels out of control, and it happens a lot, the greatest power when you're an owner is to become a board member, be on the inside, and do what you can to make things run better. Now, it doesn't mean you'll win if you run for the board. But what you have to do way before the association annual meeting, you've got to submit your name, whatever their procedure is to run for the board, and then you have to campaign for it with your fellow condominium owners. You have to be willing to put in that time. I've done it over the years 3 times on condominium boards, and I'm really glad I did, even though it's not the most fun work. But you have to get involved if you feel like things are not going well, because it hurts the value of your units if things are in disrepair, and also hurts as the condominium fees rise. So getting involved is the most important suggestion I can make.
All right, and this is from Cunningham in Illinois. Regarding rounding up for charity at a checkout, I am proactive and say as soon as I'm at the register, no rewards, no roundup, no bag, I bring my own, and yes to a paper receipt. I do give to charity, but never do it on the spot where it's an impulse buy. In the old world where charities came to the front door, I'd have a similar standard response. If you'll leave me information about your charity, I'd be glad to consider a donation later when I can research it. Legitimate ones would give me info, but scams or questionable ones never would. Your podcast gets me through my daily physical therapy for my rotator cuff.
Oh, that
injury.
is a rough repair of an injury. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So I love that you are so proactive at the register. You're ready, you're prepared. And I noticed that, we had a thing where we talked about the rounding up.
Yeah, that's what.
Based on a question before. And since we took that question, I've noticed the roundup is appearing far more places even than it used to.
The roundup and the tipping.
Oh, yeah, the tipping. Although I've been reading there's kind of a backlash on the tipping, that people are not doing the level of tipping they were doing in the pandemic, which you'd probably also hear from people who work in quick serve and restaurant settings, that the tipping is not as strong. But on the rounding up, your decision to do your charitable giving methodically is a great idea, because obviously you want to give to charity. You also want to know that that money is spent well. Coming up ahead, tolls are more and more present around the country, and that has led to a bunch of scams you need to know about. I don't know if you've gotten them. I have gotten the scam texts, and I also got an email recently that I am pretty certain is bogus. I've not dug into it yet, telling me I owe money for tolls and all kinds of penalties and all that. And there's a new warning from the FBI that this is a hot scam area. And you need to know that if you receive a toll notice, that the information you have and where you're supposed to pay and all that could be clearly fake. It could appear to be from a legitimate toll authority, even one in an area where you routinely drive. And you got to know that you just don't pay from that toll notice. What you do instead, and don't go to any web address that is listed on a bill you get. You need to make sure you are at the actual real website of the toll authority. So you don't go to something that says blah, blah, blah /violations or anything like that. You go to the website of the toll authority where they're trying to sell you toll readers and that kind of stuff. And the criminals aren't trying to sell toll readers. They're trying to collect phony violations. So I always talk about being wary and careful doing a Google search. But if you do something like you're trying to go to a toll authority and you know the name of the toll authority, odds are if you just put in for that name, it's going to be the legit one. If you put violations by it, you're going to be quite often, maybe most of the time, at a phony. And you'll be able to check at that toll authority website, is there actually a legitimate outstanding toll for you? Another thing that we've talked about in the past is now more and more states are in a co-op where you can have either a portable toll reader, like I have one from a toll authority in Florida that I can use in, I think it's 21 states now for road tolls. And I travel with it because I fly so much. And when I land somewhere, I register the rental car I'm in to that and use it to be able to pay my tolls. And then when I turn my car rental in, I always have to take that tag or plate out of the app, or the next driver, if they go through a toll and they've not paid, it's going to send the bill to me because I'm registered to that tag or plate. But having a multi-state toll reader is more and more common, and even the kinds that a state has, there'll usually be a sticker on the windshield, those are now usable in multiple states in many cases. And so there are many ways to avoid toll violations. And I have a relative who travels a lot, and he seems to like getting toll violations in place after place after place. It's like a map of America of his toll violations, and how much more he has to pay for having gone through these tolls without a toll reader. I don't get it. No family names shared here.
Well, I recently got a camera ticket in the mail, and I was hoping it was fake, but it was real, unfortunately. So,
yeah, another family member of mine, who will remain nameless as well, got one of those as well.
In the same place where I was, right?
How far over the speed limit was this family member going?
I don't know.
When the speed camera found this individual?
How many miles?
17 over.
Okay.
Which was better than being stopped by an officer, because with those camera tickets, there's no points and no report to your insurance company. It just eats up your wallet. 17 over.
Okay, we'll go to questions. Brittany in West Virginia says, I got T-Mobile home internet in the fall and met the qualifications to get a $150 rebate. I recently realized that I never got the rebate and I couldn't find any information about it on my account. I called T-Mobile with low expectations that I would get anything. After explaining the situation, they told me I had wrongly been classified as not meeting the qualifications for the rebate, and they gave me a $150 credit towards my account. I looked this up online. It seems like it was pretty common. The internet has worked great, by the way. Also, you don't have to read this because I know you're sick of the diet comments, but I'm a registered dietitian, and I want to tell Clark I'm proud of the heart-healthy changes he has made. It's not easy to make lifestyle changes. Nutrition is like money. It's what you do most of the time that matters. If you have good habits and want to splurge every once in a while, go for it.
Well, first on that, before we talk about the T-Mobile thing, my cardiologist said to me at my last visit, you know, this diet we have you on, you don't have to do this all the time. Because apparently if you try to do it all the time, people don't do it any of the time.
Big fail rate. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we were just in California visiting my middle child, my daughter, and I got to go to In-N-Out Burger, not once, but twice. And for those of you who go to In-N-Out, I had the 3x3, which tasted like, I mean, having been on this restricted diet for 5 months, it tasted like it was the greatest food I'd ever put in my mouth. And I'm good for now.
Okay, back to T-Mobile.
But I got to have it.
Okay.
What? Do you even know what the 3x3 is?
I don't.
Okay, it's on the secret menu. In-N-Out has a big secret menu. So on the T-Mobile thing, I'm very impressed that one call, just a regular customer, no service, got you customer service and got you the $150 back. And it's very, very common with technology company rebates that they just don't happen. And you're the one who has to be the one who remembers and be your own advocate to get that money.
This is from Ruddy in Texas. My cousin has a low-functioning autistic 35-year-old son that lives at home full-time with his senior citizen retired parents. He has been receiving Medicare benefits, but they recently received a letter from the Social Security Administration stating benefits are being suspended due to a criminal conviction starting in December of 2023. This is a totally false report since he lives full-time at home and doesn't even have a driver's license. Except for a few years of working part-time for his dad about 10 years ago, he doesn't have any active financial activity, credit cards, etc. Aside from running credit checks to confirm no other identity theft, how can we investigate the source where this incorrect report is coming from? She'll be submitting an appeal to Social Security, but we're wondering if you would recommend any private resources for background checks, etc.
So, Ruddy, this is terrible, and identity theft by criminals is very common, not for the purpose of applying for credit and all the rest, but to have fake IDs as if they are someone else. So if they are stopped by law enforcement or whatever, they're presenting your cousin's son's ID instead of their own. And this has long been a problem in law enforcement where people do present an ID as if they are someone else. And then suddenly you have a problem to deal with because of what a criminal has done.
And I wonder if this criminal or if criminals are targeting people with special needs too, because
I've never heard of a pattern of that.
It's horrible.
But you asked background checks, that kind of thing. The simplest thing to do is for your cousin to check to see if his son has, I don't know if it's his or her son. Anyway, that that you want to check to see if there's a credit file from any of the three major credit bureaus with stuff on there that shouldn't be there. That would be how you'd know if the identity theft involves more than just for ID purposes, but involves establishing a full fake identity. If the Social Security Administration is not cooperative on the appeal and the funds start, your cousin should go to the congressman, best the congressman, not one of their senators, congressman for their district, and get constituent service help with Social Security. It comes across as what's known simply as a congressional, and then the complaint is reviewed at a better level than otherwise. The other angle is a local television station. It's a great story for local TV when they're able to portray, here's this person who has lost their government assistance because of an identity theft problem, and they're not getting any help from the government. Great kind of TV story, low-hanging fruit, easy for a reporter to do, and gets action, gets a response from the government at pretty much any level when you do that.
And on a much lighter note, John in Virginia says, my wife and I are traveling to Italy in the first week of June. Our return flight is on Norse Atlantic. I was recently updating some information in our flight itinerary and saw the option to bid on upgrades to first class. The lowest possible bid was €250 per person, and it went up to €1,000 per person per seat. I put in a bid for $275 per person per seat, and would be happy to pay that price for the upgrade, but I haven't stopped thinking about how odd this system is. There was no information about when we would be notified or how the bidding works. I was wondering, do you recommend bidding on this type of thing? Assuming I can afford the price I bid, is there any reason not to?
So, John, this is a common practice in Europe and with some Asian airlines where you can bid on upgrades. I've expected it to become a practice in the United States, and I have not seen it, although it could be going on with an airline somewhere. I just haven't seen it. So what happens is airlines no longer want to give upgrades. They want to make money from them. And so having a bid process is something that works. I tried it twice, going once to the South Pacific and once to Asia, and I was so cheap I didn't bid enough. I didn't get the upgrade. Don't know if 275 will be enough. I should tell you on Norse, it's not a true lie flat bed. It's a big recliner kind of seat, more like a premium economy, but a nice seat to sit in. And if they do grant you the seat, you'll enjoy sitting in it. It will be a better experience than a regular Norse coach seat. So hopefully you will get the deal and you'll feel that your €275 was well spent. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Know what we're about. It's you learning ways to save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. And see you tomorrow.